Hello, everybody. Joe Bag Donuts here. Welcome back to another episode of Umineko. Last time, we had more brain teasers with Beatrice, and we found the bodies. Well, one of the bodies. Canon is disintegrated, gone, reduced to atoms. Uh, you should be used to me saying this by now, but yesterday I didn't record because it was election day yesterday, so I went out, did that, came back, recorded that Canon episode. So if you ever wanted to see someone watch the 2002 adaptation of Canon that most people forget exists, there's that. And then I proceeded to watch the election maps as the first votes were counted, and watch that until like 1 a.m. because I'm a masochist and I hate myself, and I don't take good care of my sanity. But, surprisingly decent outcome. I'm fairly open with my politics. I am the thing the right and left fear the most. That's right, I'm a social democrat. No matter which side rises and takes over, either way, I'm getting the wall. If the right takes over, I'm getting the wall for being a communist. If the communists take over, I'm getting the wall for being a class traitor. It is what it is. We learn to accept our lot in life. Anyway, who cares about my personal politics? Let us dive deeper into this VN and probably do more brain teaser puzzles because the entire chapter is called like wolf and sheep puzzle. So gonna have to do some thinking after I just woke up, and it's 12:30. Ooh, it was cold last night too. Like it's finally getting to a seasonable temperature. Unlike the past couple of days where it was like high 70s and 80s. Now it's like dropping to the 40s at night. I should probably take my AC units out of my window because it made my bedroom very chilly and kind of difficult to sleep when my feet popped out. Oh god, now that I say that, my throat's itching because of how dry it was. Well, let's hope I don't fucking hack up a lung. With Jessica's death, it became certain that the culprit was hiding somewhere nearby and that they would come for our lives if they had a chance. And I need to click on the screen. According to Genji-san, when tomorrow morning comes, the boat should arrive. The boat has a radio too. We'll probably be able to contact the police immediately with that. We all gathered in the parlor and decided to wait quietly until tomorrow. I proposed that we should search throughout the mansion for clues about the culprit. But Auntie Rosa rejected that, saying that if we put pressure on the culprit or provoke them, it might lead to a third murder. And it was probably the right thing to do. Even if a bunch of amateurs like us investigated, there's no way we'd find anything. Yeah, you'd just be fucking tampering with a crime scene. It would be wisest to focus on protecting ourselves without doing anything unnecessary and leave it to the police after tomorrow. Well, since you're sitting around doing nothing, might as well give a good solid college try to that epitaph riddle. We'd been tense in the beginning, but other than Auntie Rosa, most of us had spent all morning watching TV and getting bored, so our sense of danger had grown much less intense. When we thought about it, even though there certainly had been 6 adults killed at once in the first murder, that made us imagine some backhanded method like poison had been used. And in the second murder, it was thought that those two had become sacrifices because they were unfortunately isolated from the rest of us. From this, we imagined that there wasn't a great number of culprits, and they didn't have the ability to kill this large group gathered in the parlor all at once. Right now, in this parlor, there's George, Aniki, and me, Maria, Auntie Rosa, Genji-san, Goda-san, Shannon-san, Kumasawa-san, and finally Dr. Nanjo. A total of 9 people were here. Furthermore, Auntie Rosa was even armed with a gun. Surely, with this many people staying in this room, they wouldn't be able to touch us easily. That feeling of security, along with the passage of time, allowed us to recover from the shock of that morning bit by bit. Yeah, just completely forget about Kinzo. He's fine. He's fucking got himself locked up in his study. Incidentally, lunchtime had just ended for us. However, it had been canned food lunch, far cry from last night's dinner, which Goda-san had skillfully made for us. Hey, you can skillfully make some, canned sloppy joes. Some beefaroni. Auntie Rosa, too, had suspected that poison had been used in the murder of those 6 people. So we probably couldn't deny the possibility that the culprit had snuck into the kitchen during all that confusion in the morning and mixed poison in with the ingredients there. Auntie Rosa had ordered all of us not to put anything into our mouths except for safe foods like canned food until the police came. As a cook, Goto-san must have felt very let down. As though he wanted to display his skill anyway, he said that he at least wanted to bring the plates and pile them up with canned food. At least, a little set dressing, it can enhance the flavor. At first, Auntie Rosa had been reluctant, examining each one of the plates that were brought, but she hadn't been able to find anything to complain about, and Goto-san's chef's pick canned food combo lunch had become a reality. Goto-san had said something about taste being savored, not just with the tongue, but with the eyes too. I felt myself agreeing. It had been the same canned food we ate for breakfast, but it felt like something completely different. Alright, tell us about the puzzle. As I was sitting lazily on a sofa, with no desire to watch TV, Maria came over, pulled a picture book out of her handbag, and held it out to me as she said that. Alright, tell us how it goes. Wolves and sheep puzzle. Ugh. It was a phrase that Auntie Rosa had said this morning when we had gone to call on Jessica. At the time, I hadn't known what it meant, and then after that, there was the uproar of Jessica's when Jessica's body was found, so I'd forgotten about it completely. The book that Maria held out to me looked like a foreign picture book or something that had been translated. Opening it, I could tell that the book contained an assortment of puzzles. Okay. Okay, yeah, so it was the kind of puzzle I was talking about, but instead of like wolves and sheep, it was like the fox, the chicken, and the grain. Yeah, I guess. I'm not sure how that works. It's a very simple puzzle, passed on from long ago. Let's try one of the problems. On the right bank, there are 2 wolves and 2 sheep. There is a boat that as many as 2 animals can ride on, and using it, you have to move all 4 of them to the opposite left bank. There are 2 rules. The first is regarding the boat. It can be paddled by 2 wolves or a sheep, and even just 1 animal on its own. But it can only hold up to 2. The second is regarding the wolves. When they are greater in number than the sheep in that location, they attack the sheep and it's game over. For example, at the start of the game, both sheep ride the boat and go over to the other side. Then one sheep gets off and the other goes back to the first bank. When it does, there are 2 wolves at the first bank. Yeah, so then you take 1 wolf, then you go back, you get the other sheep, and then you go back and you get the wolf. That sort of thing. You gotta vary them back and forth in order to balance the numbers. When it does, there are 2 wolves on the first bank, and a single sheep returns there. When that happens, there are more wolves, so the sheep is attacked and it's game over. On either bank, or even the boat, there must not be more wolves than sheep. It's a puzzle about how to shuttle them across in a boat under those conditions. By the way, the right answer is, on the first turn, move both wolves to the opposite bank. And then 1 wolf comes back. On the second turn, move 2 sheep to the opposite bank. Then 1 wolf comes back. And on the third turn, put that last wolf that was on the right bank on the boat and cross to the opposite bank, and congratulations. Transport successful. I was just rethinking the rules. My brain just completely stopped working there. What's going on? You smell burnt toast? Part way, there may be the same number of wolves and sheep in the boat, or on either side, but that isn't a problem. You only lose when the number of wolves is greater. The book symbolizes it using wolves and sheep, but there are probably lots of people who know the same game with a different symbolism. It looked like Maria wanted to test whether I too could solve the puzzles she knew how to solve. And she kept showing me different pages, saying, "Solve this one," and "This one's hard." That had been happening when Auntie Rosa had said the name of this puzzle. Oh, that's right. When we decided to go call Jessica, we had been talking about how many men should go. And Auntie Rosa mentioned the wolves and sheep puzzle and said that we should all go together. Oh, you get something click in your head for you? That could only mean one thing. Yeah, is that she thought, there was maybe some wolves among us. Auntie Rosa was saying that there were wolves among us. And when the number of wolves and sheep is balanced, we're safe. But when a situation comes up when that isn't the case, the wolves will bare their fangs. Is that what she's thinking? At the time we had found our parents' corpses, Auntie Rosa was already suspecting that the servants might be wolves. While she didn't know whether it was all of them or just some, she had sniffed out the possibility that wolves were hiding among them. Well, yeah. That murder scene was pretty damn elaborate. It's easy to imagine that there were multiple culprits. Also, are there just bananas? No, okay. Whew. Alright, right under the text box, because I forget how to make the text box go away. Like, under the lollipop and above the zelly, there's like the pumpkin on its side, and it just looked like a bushel of bananas. And I'm like, who the fuck? Like, what kind of psychopath just adds bananas to like a Halloween candy dish? Unless you're like some health freak. Like, I can get if you're doing like a funny thing, like maybe put like a couple just like raw potatoes in there. Or like bags of Sprite. Like, that shit's funny. Kids love that shit. It's unique, but just like a banana, or like one of those places that gives out toothbrushes, like, what the fuck is wrong with you? And considering that she already had that in mind when we went to Jessica's room, where Jessica had been alone with a servant, Canon, and had been killed, it isn't hard to imagine why Auntie Rosa had suspected the servants so persistently.
使用人の皆さん、郷田さんが食器を洗いに厨房に戻ります。念のためです。皆さんも同行してください。
I mean, do you really need to wash the dishes? Like, just stack them in the corner. Like, it's fine.
団体行動で参りましょう。
シャノン、熊沢、行くぞ。
はいはい、ただいま。
それではジョージさん、一度失礼いたします。
うん、気をつけて。あ、ローザおばさん。
No.
僕も一緒に行っていいかな。
ごめんなさい。
Yeah.
ジョージ君は残ってくれるかしら。
No, they got their two muscular men, big boys. We need our two big boys over here.
ちょっとお話ししたいことがあるの。
そうですか。シャノン、ごめん。とにかく気をつけて。
Yeah, there's some family talk about the inheritance
一人にな
now,
らないでね。
considering, everyone got whacked. But that's the cover. She just doesn't want him going.
南條先生、ちょっとご相談が。
はい、何ですかね。
Servants put the dishes and empty cans on the serving cart and started to head out into the corridor. Behind them, Auntie Rosa was talking to Dr. Nanjo about something in a small voice.
わかりました。参りましょう。
ええ、よろしくお願いしますね。
Gonna go check up on the old man. Dr. Nanjo closed the book he had been reading, stood from the sofa, and followed after the servants. Auntie Rosa stuck her head out into the hallway, and after watching them leave completely, she closed the door and spoke.
みんな聞いて。
Family talk?
これで今ここにいるのは後宮の人間だけね。
ん？確かにそうなりますね。
Yeah, so it appears.
狼を全部追い出したってことっすか、ローザおばさん。
That one sentence, Auntie Rosa's gaze grew sharp. Apparently, she had picked up on my sardonic tone. Auntie Rosa laughed lightly.
バトラ君は頭の回転が速いのね。
Oh god, this is gonna be a rough one. I can feel like the itch like right at the back of the roof of my mouth, near the back of my throat from the air being so dry. And I already drank my coffee, and if I get any more to drink, I'm gonna fucking piss my pants in the middle of this recording.
賢い子は好きよ。話が早いの。
Oh, no wonder you hate your daughter so much.
バトラー、頭いい？これ解ける？64ページの難しいの。
Yeah, we'll do that one after.
マリアは少しの間テレビを見ていなさい。ママはバトラ君たちとお話があるの。
Mm-hmm. Big kids are talking.
おお
Just so happens that Rosa is the biggest of the kids.
ローザおばさん、パズルの話はバトラ君に聞いたよ。
Which I can empathize with her. I am the youngest on both sides of my family by a fairly large margin from at least my generation.
用心深いのは悪いことじゃないと思うけど、さす
And
が
of
に
all my
疑
cousins,
り
I am
深す
the
ぎるのも
youngest.
どうかと思うよ。
真の犯人がベアトリ
I
ー
got
チ
a
ェか
pretty
どう
big
かは
family
別
too.
に
My
して。
dad had like, God, how many siblings does my dad have? Like 4, and then my mom has like, she's the 5th, and she's the youngest too. So
少なくとも使用人たちがその一味であることを疑
It's
う
a
こ
hard
とは
knock
でき
life,
る
you
と
know.
思うの。兄さんたちが殺されていた最初の殺人、とても残酷な仕打ちがされていたわよね。
Yep.
あれが一人でできる真似に見える。
謎の来客ベアトリーチェ様が夜鍋をしてチクチクやった
Yeah, she's
の
a
か
hard
もしれねえ
worker.
ぜ。
ジェシカちゃんの部屋
Really
の扉を
fucking
め
put
ぐ
the
るマスタ
elbow
ー
grease
キー
into
の
it.
件は使用人の誰かが関わっている証拠じゃない。
Yeah, we still don't have a solution to that. We just proved that it wasn't canon. Only a master key could have locked the door to Jessica's room. In that case, we can only suppose that one of the servants locked it. No, wait.
チェス盤をひっくり返すぜ。おかしいよローザおばさん。なんで犯人はジェシカを殺した後わざわざ施錠したんだ。施錠すればマスターキーの持ち主が疑われるのは必然。
Mm-hmm.
わざわざ施錠する必要がないぜ。
そうだよ。
Throw off the scent.
バトラ君の言う通りだ。わざわざ疑われるようなことをする理由がない。
Get you spinning your wheels about something irrelevant. So that way you don't actually look at, bigger picture.
それは面白い考えよね。もちろん私もそれは考えた。だとしたら施錠した人物は使用人を疑わせたくてマスターキーなしであの扉を閉めた。でもそれは不可能でしょ。
Yeah, they would have had to have pocketed Jessica's key. That's right. If there was a trick that could lock the door without a master key, this would be a good disguise aiming to cast doubt on the servants. If the culprit wanted to isolate us and attack us one by one, this trick was a very effective one that could even give rise to paranoia. However, there was no way to lock that door without using a master key.
マスターキーを使わずに閉める方法がないなんてどうして言い切れるの？
What do you mean?
ルドルフ兄さんの言っていた悪魔の証明になるんじゃない？
Because we saw it in red text. I'm pretty sure that Beatrice said it could only be locked with Jessica's key and the master keys.
私たちには想像もつかない方法で閉められたのかもしれない。私たちに思いつかないからといって未知のトリックがあることを否定することにはならない。
そりゃそうだけどよ。
But that doesn't, get us anywhere.
つまりあれか、疑わしきは黒ってわけなのか。
具体的なトリックはわからないけれど、それでも外角はわかるの。申し訳ないけど、カノン君を犯人だと仮定すると、
It's like the same with
非常に簡単に説明できる。
the locked room with Hideyoshi and Ava in the first episode. Like, I still got nothing for that one. I'm too dumb. They'll probably eventually explain it in the answers arc for dumb people like me who can't put two and two together.
死体がない理由までね。
だってカノン君はマスターキーを持ってなかったんですよ。他の使用人ならともかくカノン君にだけは施錠はできなかったはず。
なるほど。それでローザおばさんはジェシカの部屋に入って早々に、俺たちにクローゼットなん
That
か
they
を探
hadn't
せと
left.
言い
They
出
had
したわ
locked
け
it from
か
the。inside and then put the key in, Jessica's pocket or whatever. Or put her room key back on the table.
ローザおばさんこそ普段の様子から想像でき
Oh,
る
another one of they never left.
頭の回転が速いな。
妹の頭の回転速度は常に姉マイナス1よ。今は誰にも気を使う必要がないからせいせいするわ。
Really? Because I feel like I have to think a lot faster, in order to avoid the inevitable, being the family punching bag you know, really ups your survival instincts. My family was very nice to me on both sides. George and he realized that she was referring to Auntie Ava, and seemed a little disturbed about how he should take that nasty remark.
ごめん。
Yeah, your mom was kind of a bitch.
僕にも分かるように説明してほしいな。カノン君のマスターキーはジェシカちゃんのポケットに入って密室に閉じ込められていた。施錠した後に部屋の外からポケットに入れるなんてゲートは不可能なはず。
違うんだよ兄貴。ローザおばさんの想像しているやり方ならこのトリックはカノン君にしか使えない。
What do you mean?
そしてジェシカのポケットにマスターキーを入れたまま鍵なしで施錠することができる。
Alright, explain.
そしてその結果として死体もなくなることになる。
どうやって鍵なしで
Yeah, I'm with
どうやっ
George
て
in
施
this
錠す
boat.
るんだい？
簡単よ。ジョージ君だって帰宅したら施錠するでしょ。
I mean, yeah,
つ
from
まみを
the
ひね
inside.
ってカチリとね。
Yeah, but is this the kind of door that can do that? I mentioned this last time, but I don't know like the functions of these doors or they're locked, so...
まさか。いやでもカノン君。
兄貴にもピンときたみてえだな。
What do you say? Kennick wasn't anywhere, and then that's where it ended? Yeah, okay.
ローザおばさんが室内を探したのはそういうことだ。内側から鍵を閉めジェシカのポケットに鍵を突っ込んだカノン君が
Waited for you guys to leave, then slip out.
どこかに隠れて俺たちをやり過ごそうとしているのを探したんだ。
It's pretty much a repeat of the puzzle with Kinzo last time. The simplest locked room trick. In other words, to hide inside the locked room after committing the murder. And if you could get out after those who discovered the body left, it would create a perfect locked room murder.
私たちはあの部屋を探したけれど何も見つけられなかった。
And we know there are no secret passages or whatever because Diato said so.
でもだからといってあの部屋に使用人たちしか知らない
You guys
秘密
can't,
の
but
隠
we
し通
can.
路のようなものがないとは言えない。それがどこに隠されていたかはわからないけれどその隠し通路を仮定し推理することで彼しかありえないと断言できるのよ。
その推理はよ俺も一番最初に考え
Yeah,
た。
fair.
一番嫌な
I mean, this fucking, like,
一番最初にそ
I
の
don't
可
even know
能
what
性
you
を
would call
潰
this
したかっ
place.
た。
Like, it's not quite a haunted house, but, you know, it's not unreasonable for, you know, an eccentric person like Kinzo to design a mansion with some elaborate, like, hidden passageways and whatnot.
カノンはこの部屋で殺された。
いや。
そなたはカノンが犯人であると疑いそうになったため、真っ先にその可能性を潰すために、
Yeah, the motherfucker's
これ
dead.
を復唱させたのだ。わかっておるわかっておる。
だからその次に考えたのはこうだった。あの部屋にいたのは実は3人だったという説だ。
Well, you're not wrong. Beatrice did show up.
ジェシカとカノン君は被害者。そして犯人である来客ベアトリーチェも一緒にいた。
そなたは人間であるわらわが
Not you,
魔
this
法を使わずに
ethereal
犯行を
magical.
行ったことにしたいのだ
Not
った
quite
な。
magic, because magic isn't real, because witches aren't real.
なるほど。そなたにぴったりの親切
Not
である。
DM Beatrice, but a player character Beatrice.
お前は2人を殺し内側から施錠した。そしてカノン君の死体を担いで普通の人は気づかない秘密の方法、つまり隠し扉を使って部屋から脱出したんだと読んだ。
No, I'm pretty sure she just walked out the door.
しかしお前に赤で言われちまった。あの部屋に隠し扉の類はないってな。
うん。お前たちの知らない秘密の通路は存在せぬぞ。ノックスだったかバンダインだったか。
Look, don't be mentioning like fucking things I don't understand.
何でもミス
Makes
テ
me
リ
look
ーには
stupid.
秘密の通路があってはいけないらしい。そのお作法にわらわも従ったということよ。つまり名探偵は 部屋を調べ尽くさずして隠し通路がないと断言できるわけだ。人間の推理ごっこと
Well, yeah, they need to be
なん
fair.
とお気楽なものよの。
So that way the reader can feel smart when they puzzle it out themselves.
くそ。でけえこと言いやがるぜ。ありがとよ。魔女様のお取り計らいのおかげで、俺も部屋を探し尽くさずに、あの部屋に隠し扉がないと断言できるぜ。
Yeah, saved us like an hour and a half of work. Thanks.
この部屋に隠し扉はない。扉と窓以外に出入りする方法はない。
ってことは、
And the windows are all locked from the inside.
今、ローザおばさんがぶってる自信満々の仮説は間違ってるってわけだ。
Yes.
しかも悔しいことに、この仮説は反証不能だ。魔女のお前は赤で、隠し扉はないと断言すれば、それで決着する。しかし人間の俺は、ローザおばさんにそれを反論しても、受け入れられないだろう。
Yeah, you don't have like the omniscient point of view to be able to debunk her by saying, oh, well, you see, the murderer themselves told me in red that there are no hidden passages. She just look at you like, Battler, what the fuck are you talking about?
隠し扉がないことを人間は証明できない。悪魔の証明になっちまう。くそ。魔女ってのは便利だな。
Yeah, just fucking the ability to hand wave anything.
そんなあるかないかもわからない隠し扉を理由にカノン君を犯人呼ばわりするなんて僕は納得できないな。
納得できないならより納得できる推理を聞かせて。ないの。私はずっと考えてる。これしかないの。
He teleported. Like I said, he just vibrated very hard and his molecules like slipped through the door.
ジョージ君はシャノンちゃんと仲が良かったわね。だから使用人全員が犯人であることは受け入れがたいと思うの。私もシャノンちゃんが犯人の一味であるのを
She's
信
so
じた。
nice.
でも全員であるか否かはともかく確実にあの中に犯人もしくは共犯がいるのよ。それだけは見
I
誤
mean,
っちゃダメ。
better safe than sorry, but
カノン君以外にも狼がいると見てたんだ。ジェシカの部屋で犯人はカノン君だと大騒ぎしたの。使用。
ええ、そうよ。そしてその結果私は一層の疑いを持つに至った。確実に使用人の中に狼がいる。
I mean, maybe, but they're not like after you, I don't think.
確実にね。そして狼と羊のパズルのように普段はおとなしくしているけれど
No, Shannon might be, you know, a quote-unquote wolf in sheep's clothing. You know, but not in like she's gonna kill you kind of way, but kind of in the same way as Canon. Like, can Shannon do the fucking magic swords too? Because that's a neat little trick she's got up her sleeve, if she can.
ジェシカちゃんは一人で船に乗った羊よ。あのパズルでは頭数の時は襲ってこないけど私たちのパズルは違う。チャンスと人数次第なら頭数でも襲ってくる。ジェシカちゃんが殺されたように。
You gotta outnumber them.
僕は怒りたいことがある。じゃあ厨房へ行かされてるシャノンは危険な状態じゃないか。今すぐ僕たちも厨房へ行くべきだ。誰が狼だろうと狼でなかろうと
Nah, she's fine.
僕たち全員が揃っていれば均衡するなら。
シャノンちゃんはお父様のところへ源氏さんと一緒に行った。その時に孤立したはずなのに殺されなかった。
Mm-hmm.
源氏さんも狼ではないから。
Or because they're in cahoots.
違うわ。二人とも狼だったからよ。
シャノンは悪事の片棒を担ぐような人じゃない。いくらローザおばさんでもそれは聞き流せません。今の発言に対し
I mean, she
僕は
might
取
like
り消しを要求します。
assist in like doing tax fraud. I can see that.
兄貴の前で悪いが。
Telling you how to, you know, maybe not entirely truthfully fill out your tax forms.
エヴァおばさんの雰囲気にそっくりだな。こっちが反論できなきゃ自動的に自分が正しいみたいな。やっぱり血は争えないな、おばさん。
私だって 今の自分はあまり褒
Yeah,
め
it
ら
doesn't
れた
feel
もの
very
じゃ
good
ないと
to,
は
you
思
know,
ってる
accuse people.
でもね、私は母なの。マリアの無事を守るためなら鬼にもなるわ。本当ならマリアと二人きりでどこかに閉じこもっていたいくらいよ。でも私は同時にあなたたちの母でもあるつもりなの。今やあなたたちは私の子供も同然。私は自分の子じゃないからといってあなたたちを見捨てたりしない。
Cool, appreciate that.
絶対。
そりゃどうも。
私はあなたたちの母として油断しないでと警告したかっただけなの。
Alright, let's not make it too weird. You're gonna be like Battler's third mother figure. You
常
know,
に私の
doesn't
目が
really mean
届
as
く
much
と
to
ころに
him.
いて私があなたたちを守ってあげる。
ついでに俺たちが狼でないことも監視してくれるってわけだ。そりゃありがたいぜ。そういうおばさんは自分が
Yeah,
狼
where
では
were
ないっ
you?
て
What's
証
your
明は
alibi?
できるのかよ。
Besides being with us the entire time.
ええ、できるわ。
即答っすね。どうやって？
これよ。これが証拠よ。
What, your gun? Auntie Rosa held up the gun and pointed the barrel at me. That's quite the persuasive argument. Please don't do that. That's not very good gun safety. Especially with your finger right on the trigger. But that was only for an instant. She immediately lowered the gun, laughing impishly. But to me, the time I spent staring down the barrel of the gun had felt like an eternity.
その銃がどうローザおばさんが犯人でないことを証明するというんですか。
考えてもみて。
Could have just blasted you all away.
私が犯人だったらどう？
Bop, bop, bop.
使用人たちが出ていったこの千載一遇の機会を逃すと思う。あなたたちをズドンと撃って、あとは適当な言い訳をするだけよ。
Now, like, oh, they attacked me. They were the
窓の外
culprits.
にベアトリーチェが現れて銃を撃ってきた。とか、私は2発を
Like
撃
a
ち返
Beatrice
したと
fucking
称して、
putting on a
二発目の
rappelling
空焼
harness
きを
and
床
going
に捨て
upside
る。
down like Mission Impossible to fucking.
そりゃすげえ乱暴な理論だが確かに一理あるぜ。
クラウス兄さんが昔よく言ってたの。
What?
力こそ正義ってね。
And that does seem like his
こ
viewpoint.
れがまさにそうなのかしら。ごめんなさいね、二人とも。
And to an extent, you know, not entirely wrong.
私も今朝からの
No,
事件
not from like a
続きで
moral standpoint, but from
かな
like
り
a
冷静さを失って
realist standpoint.
普段の私を知る二人から見れば今の私は余裕がなくて少し短気そうに見えるかもしれない。でも分かってる。私は悪意ある犯人からあなたたちを守りたい。そのためには鬼になる。
Appreciate it, but, you
それ
know,
だけのことなの。
don't go like too far off the deep end, alright?
怒らせるようなことを言ってごめんなさいね。バトラ君、ジョージ君、仲直りしましょう。
Group hug. George Enke was wearing an unsatisfied expression. Probably couldn't forgive the damage done to Shannon's honor. What about me? Several bits of circumstantial evidence hint strongly at the servants' participation. Don't want to believe one of them is the culprit, or possibly colluding with the culprit, but in the current situation, that's nothing but wishful thinking. Who should I believe? In the first place, who's the culprit? Are there accomplices? If so, how many? I feel like I'm constantly only suspecting the people connected to all this. Yeah? That's like the thing to do? What do you mean? What do you mean by that? I find myself quickly forgetting about the 19th person. Oh, okay. The guest, Beatrice, who came yesterday and boldly called herself the Golden Witch. I haven't actually seen her face. I've heard that she's like a double of the witch from that portrait. But because I haven't seen her directly, no matter how hard I try, I can't really feel like there are 19 people on this island. So I easily slip into the illusion that the culprit is one of the 18. Damn it. Come out, Beatrice. If you're the bad guy, then act like the bad guy and show yourself, laughing in a high-pitched voice and looking down on us. Yeah, give us your big villain monologue. She's like the bad guy in one of those dramas who, even once they're exposed as the culprit, aggressively say, "Is there any proof?" There we go.
うっせえ。てめえはしばらく黙ったら。
And no fucking comments from the peanut gallery. Alright, I'm back. Let us continue. There were 5 humans in the kitchen, but it was very quiet, filled only with the sound of the rain. It was only accented by the sound of Shannon and Kumasawa washing the dishes. What faithful servants. I would just stack them in the fucking sink and be like, we'll get to these, like, you know, when there's less pressing matters at hand. Goto was using leftovers from breakfast and lunch as ingredients for the servant's soup. Rosa had suspected that poison might have been added to the food, so they had decided to eat canned food, but it hadn't really been filling. But Goto thought she was being too careful. So he was spontaneously creating a soup to be served only to those that wanted to eat it. Shannon and Kumasawa were washing the dishes that food had been arranged on. On the inside, they thought maybe Goto should be the one washing them since he had been the one who wanted food on the plates in the first place, but they left their complaints unsaid for the time being. Genji and Nanjo were facing each other across a crude chess set which had seen in many years. There's just like multiple chessboards lying around in the mansion? Okay. It had still only just begun. And, of course, the same exact pieces set in the exact same spot because there's only one chest CG. Excellent. And because the opening game of the experienced players had been endlessly refined, it looked like a ritual where they just moved specified pieces in a specified order.
良い匂いですね。やはり缶詰ではこうはいきませんね。
開封した食材だけで作りましたので、毒が混入しているなんてことはありませんよ。
Cool.
皆さんの分もお作りしていますので、ぜひ食べましょう。もちろん私もお毒にしますよ。安心して召し上がってください。
At least, you know, it's something nice instead of you just serving up one of those, like, giant canned chickens where there's, like, an entire chicken stuffed into the can. Like, rotisserie chicken, but it's covered in, like, that, like, jelly. That, like, gelatinated fat.
本当にいい匂いですね。
And it's, like, strangely pale.
合田さんのまかない料理は本当に美味しいです。
美味しい材料を買ってきて、美味しい料理が作れるのは当たり前です。
You can fuck some shit up with some good ingredients.
私は師匠にあり合わせのもので美味しく作るまかない料理を極めてこそ真の料理人だと習いました。
More than the sum of its
それはい
parts.
い師匠でしたな。おかげで私はとても美味しいスープをごちそうになれそうです。
親族の皆様にお召し上がりいただくための材料で作ることになってしまった。
Well, now there's some leftovers, so you guys get the good stuff.
ローザさんも朝からのいろいろでお疲れなのでしょう。無理もないことです。
でもそのおかげで美味しい食材のスープが飲めるのですから
Ah,
ね。
who cares if 7 to 8 people are dead? We got some fucking good grub. Look on the bright side, huh? Rose had fervently told everyone that they didn't realize the danger they were in, and that they must suspect that poison was mixed in with the food. The atmosphere in that place had led to their agreement, but their hunger wouldn't be overcome by that monetary emotion.
皮肉にも普段の私たちではとても味わえないスープとなりました。できるなら客間の皆さんにもぜひ
Yeah, and Rosa is gonna smack that one down.
ローザ様のご指示に背いている以上、飲みたいものだけ飲むという。
見えないところで上手に息抜きするのも使用人の心得でございますものね。
Kumasawa, who? Kumasawa laughed loudly, and Shannon and Goda laughed with her. It seemed that, in an area where only their fellow servants were gathered, they could be very relaxed. Shannon didn't like Goda's occasional dishonesty, but she knew that there was no falsehood in his childish smile when he cooked. nor in his desire that people should enjoy his food. So even though it was a little aggravating to be made to wash the dishes, she couldn't really hate him. However, they couldn't have dreamed that Rosa was calling them wolves in the parlor at exactly the same moment that they were spending their time peacefully like this. That's a transition. At the time, several of the servants heard a sound like something was being dragged, then a thump. When a servant was out carrying a mountain of trash bags on a rainy day, doing some work in a raincoat, they would create exactly this kind of noise and the presence as they returned and hovered around the back door. Same kind of noise and presence. Okay. I'm pretty sure I put like a the after the and presence, like in between them, so it threw me off, but I just say things, Unfiltered stream of consciousness from my brain, even if it's not what's on the screen. It's because I got worms in my brain, probably. So after hearing that sound, at first, none of them noticed anything out of the ordinary. But they quickly realized, in a situation where everyone was either in the kitchen or the parlor, when the world was at the back door. As the servants all looked at each other, they checked to make sure that each one of them knew what that sound meant. The servants knew the mansion's layout well, so they understood how unimaginable it would be for someone from the parlor to actually go outside in this typhoon, go all the way around, and come up to this back door. Then was it Kinzo? They found it even more difficult to imagine that Kinzo, never left his study even under normal circumstances, would dash out into the middle of this typhoon for no apparent reason, and come to the back of the house, which only low-class people came in or out. Shannon and Kumasawa drew close together, fearfully looking at the back door. Alright, time to get the big frying pan, the good cast iron they can bonk someone with. As Goda fearfully approached the back door, he called out. And he checked with his eyes the location of a butcher's knife set on the nearby sink. Didn't pick it up yet, because there's still a possibility that it was a member of the family. However, that possibility wasn't possible. There was no response from across the door to Goda's initial question. Maybe his voice had been so quiet that it hadn't reached through all the wind and rain outside. Genji took a knife with a classical design from a stationary box placed on the chess set. Near the chess set. It'd be weird to have a knife on the chess set when you're playing. There was something to be used instead of a paper knife to open envelopes for invoices and bills. Oh, I have one of those. They're kind of shit. But it was fundamentally a knife. So the blade on it could injure someone. Genji hid it in his sleeve with a well-practiced manner. Then he too approached the back door and signaled to Goda with a silent nod. Goda cautiously approached the back door and slowly started to open it. What, is it fucking Canon's lifeless corpse? The figure of a person suddenly shuffled into sight, landed on its knees, and fell over. Goda fell backwards onto his backside in shock. The figure was soaked with rain, smeared with mud, and drenched with blood.
Canon? 大丈夫か? Nanjo sensei.
He's probably not okay. It was Canon. His breath was feeble, and the puddles of mud he left quickly became drenched bright red. Oh my god, he was still alive? When Nanjo held him and turned him face up, there was a deep, gruesome scar right in the center of his chest that had been run through with a spear or something. Even now, deep red blood poured out from there.
これはひどいですよ。どうしましょう。救急箱ですか？ 救急箱ですか？
Yeah, just slap a band-aid on it and give him some Tylenol.
カノンさん、傷口に手を当てて
Pressure!
しっかり押さえてください。使用人室のベッドに運びましょう。皆さん、手を貸してください。
Yeah, Canon just can't catch a break, huh?
しばらく我慢してください。
しっかりして。もう大丈夫よ。だから傷口から手を離さないで。
とにかく使用人室へ運ぼう。熊沢ローザ様に。
You know, it's kind of hard. You can't really elevate a wound that's directly in the middle of your chest. So,
待って、ローザ様にはダメ。
待ってください。カノンさんがローザ様にはダメだと言ってい
yeah,
ま
let's
す。
listen to the dying man.
どういう意味なの、カノン君。
今はいい。早く使用人室へ運ぼう。
Yeah, we can walk and talk.
熊沢、ローザ様にはまだお伝えするな。カノンに事情を聞いてからにする。
はい。
After appearing in this horrible state, he had said not to tell Rosa. That could only mean something very disquieting. An eerie sense of panic rose to their faces.
さあ皆さん、急いで運びましょう。早く早く。
Canon's wounds were unbelievably deep, and judging from Nanjo's pale face, it's almost a miracle that he was still conscious.
これはひどい。何か槍のようなもので刺されたようです。肺まで届いてなければなんとか持つかも。とにかく止血を。
Probably definitely a sucking chest wound at the very minimum. Which, those ain't great. No matter how much Nanjo tried to wipe off that gushing deep red blood, he couldn't wipe it. What? He couldn't wipe it? He couldn't wipe it? He couldn't wipe it all away. Of course, gotta love the Japanese thing of just keep repeating it over and over. Yep, I was gonna say something, but my brain completely forgot. It comes up a lot in Nasu's works. Just cover the entire screen with the same repeating text. Maybe it comes across better in like Japanese, but at least in English, it's kind of corny and a little takes you out of the moment. Each time, the wound was aggravated, causing Canon to cry in anguish.
カノン君、カノン君、カノン君、しっかりして、しっかりして。
南條先生。
Yeah, get the sewing set. Let's patch this boy up.
替えのタオルです。なんてむごい。
容体はどうですか？
Not good.
本音を言うと生きているのが信じられん深手だ。刺されどころが幸運だったのかもしれん。だが出血がひ
Missed
ど
all
す
the
ぎ
good
る。
bits.
輸血が必要だが明日まで無理だ。
I mean, anyone here, Oneg?
ローザ様が僕たちを。
喋らないで、カノン君。傷口が開いちゃう。
ローザ様がやってきて、お嬢様とは。
What?
僕は。
なんですって。
ローザ様がですか？おお、そんなことって、そんなことって。
What are you talking about?
間違いないのか？
はい、間違いなくローザ様でした。
But it was Beatrice? What the fuck are you talking about, Canon?
もう喋らないで。熊沢さん、もう一つの救急箱を取ってください。
源氏さん、ローザ様がなんてことはあり得るのでしょうか？
I mean, the motive is there, but
わからん。
disregarding Nanjo and Kumasawa, who were struggling hard and stained with blood as they tried to stop the bleeding, Genji and Goda faced each other. Because if what Canon said was the truth, Rosa was the culprit who killed Jessica. Are you just like delirious? Or did fucking Beatrice pour some poison into your ears? Canon screamed even more hatefully. His hate-filled voice made it seem like he had seen Jessica being harmed right before his eyes.
確かにローザ様がお嬢様を殺す理由はあるかもしれない。後ろ宮家が全滅すれば遺産は全てローザ様のもの。だとしたらバトラ様やジョージ様も危険なのでは。ローザ様は銃を持っている上に今客間には彼らしかいない。ケンジさん、これはかなりまずいことでは。
Yeah, but it doesn't track. Everyone was together when Jessica got. So how could it have been Rosa? Shannon suddenly ran out into the corridor. Her expression was complex and tragic, as though she didn't know what to believe. Shannon ran. To where? The inside of the mansion had been... What? Scrupulously? What? All right, you're gonna have to bear with me. Google, what the fuck is that word? You can't just use words like that. Like, that's not fair. That's not a real word. Yeah, you're gonna have to listen to me type quietly. Okay, alright.
Scrupulously.
Scrupulously cleaned, so they probably wouldn't be easy to find. She might find some if she searched the rose garden, but they would probably have all been lost in this wind and rain. That's right. The boiler room isn't cleaned very often. If she went there, she might be able to find some. Shannon ran down the stairs in search of those in the underground boiler room. Those... what? What are you looking for? Dust? Bugs? Had some medicine taken effect in the brink of death, or had Canon finally stopped even feeling pain? For the time being, Canon had at least gotten over his painful gasping. Nanjo apparently didn't think of this as that great of a trend, and didn't let his eyes off Canon for a second. Kumasawa firmly gripped Canon's hand and kept encouraging him so that his will to stay alive didn't fall asleep. Genji and Goda seemed bewildered at how to deal with the truth that Canon had risked his life to deliver.
ローザ様の銃は確か4発か5発の弾が込められたはず。
決して少ない数ではないですね。でもあの銃は弾の装填に結構な慣れが必要だったはず。
I mean, not really. It's a lever action. You just...
一発目は撃たせてしまうかもしれませんが、みんなで襲いかかれ
just
ば
slam it forward, slam it
次を撃
back.
たせずに銃を奪い取れるかも。
You know, I don't think Rose is going to be fucking doing the Terminator 2 thing where she's like flipping it around on the lever.
この島には医者はいても薬はなく、病院もない。撃たれどころが悪ければ
Yeah.
死ぬぞ。
それは分かっていますが、それより早く行動を起
So I'm
こ
pretty
さ
sure they
ない
mentioned it's like
また次
fucking
の事件が起こる可能性も。
like a 44. So that's that's going to be a rough one if you take one of those.
私たちはローザ様にうまく追
Like
い
it's
出
going
さ
to
れ
take
た
a
気
little
が
more
しま
than
す。
just shoving a tampon in there to stop the bleeding.
今頃ジョージ様やバトラ様が殺されている可能性も。
I mean, you would definitely hear a gunshot echoing down the corridor. Unless she's fucking clubbing them in the head with it.
そんな危険な相手なら 無理に刺激しない方がいいんじゃありませんか。
しかし明日までは長い。どんな手を打ってくるか
Must act
想像
now.
もつきませんよ。源氏さん、こちらから仕掛けるべきです。せめて銃さえ理由をこじつけて奪えばなんとかなるかも。
弾は4、5発じゃありませんか。
That's enough for each of you.
ということは私たち全員を殺すには足りないということです。
Well, no, wait, there's 6 if you include Shannon, but she's not in the room
う
right
かつ
now.
に刺激しなければきっとローザ様もむやみには。
あいつは言ったよ。僕たちを皆殺しにすると言った。
What? Canon, who they thought had been sleeping quietly, suddenly started talking brightly. Almost like he had been awake the whole time and had suddenly opened his mouth. He looked firm and steady, and Nanjo was slightly relieved, but thinking of the deepness of that wound, he just couldn't wipe away a certain creepy feeling. Yeah, shock's a hell of a thing. He knew because he was a doctor. Canon should have been expected to fall unconscious after losing that much blood. Yet somehow, he had preserved his awareness so clearly. Youth? Or tenacity? Sometimes the power of human life did surpass common knowledge. When they had stopped the bleeding, to make sure that there were no foreign objects inside the affected area, Nanjo had groped around a bit inside the bleeding hole with tweezers, and the great depth of the wound had surprised him. The wound had certainly reached as far as his lungs, and yet... No, on the other hand, the fact that he is alive is fortunate. But Canon had spoken clearly. He had hatefully said that the one named Rosa had created this wound, and he was repeating curses in enraged words. Okay, yeah, I was about to say, is it really Canon talking, or is, someone, shoving a ghost hand up his ass and fucking, making him talk like a puppet? Yeah, Rosa monologued to you?
くそ、なんて人だ。源氏さん、どうしましょう。私たちにも何か武器がいるのでは。
にわかには信じられん。ローザさんがそのようなことを。
源氏様、信じる信じないじゃない。あいつが僕にそう言ったんですよ。この僕が聞いたんです。どうして信じてくれないんですか？
起きないで。
Because you're being weird.
傷に触り。
Also, your eyes are bright red. Canon sat up on the bed and spoke to Genji, who was making no effort to believe Canon's story.
あいつは僕たちを必ず全員殺す。もうきっと客間の方々も殺されているに違いありません。
No.
僕らが先に殺さなければ必ず僕らが先に殺される。
I don't think that's right.
僕が先に殺されたようにみんなも先に殺される。
Why are you talking like killed, as in the past tense, as in it's already happened?
殺さなきゃ殺される。殺さなきゃ殺される。殺さなきゃ殺される。
カノンさん、あんた本当に痛くないのか？
I mean, he's dead.
これですか。大した傷じゃありません。
Press X to doubt?
本当に大したことありません。こんなのもう全然痛くないし。本当に大
That's
した
because you're
傷
in
じゃない。
shock. As Canon said that, he began to untie his own bandages, which had been painstakingly wrapped. The gruesome hole in his chest was immediately exposed. Oh, there goes all the clotted
カ
blood.
ノンさん、そんなことをしてはダメですよ。早く横になって。
大丈夫ですって。ほら。ね？大した傷じゃないでしょ。
Canon showed off his gaping wound for still slowly spitting out foamy blood. Well, if it's foamy, then that means he definitely got hit in the lung. That's one way you can tell if someone has a punctured lung, if they start coughing up like really foamy, bright red blood. Oh wait. Everyone did what? Everyone averted their eyes reflexively. Oh god, you're like sticking your fingers in it? Oh.
全然深い傷じゃないんですよ。ほら。ほら。
Oh, you're being weird. Canon held up 2 fingers, showing them to everyone, and slowly started to stick them into the gruesome wound right in the center of his chest. Plunging, slimy, squishy, wet. The fingers went in deep to the base. Oh. Oh. Squish, glue, blorp. I'm gonna be real, I would probably, like, get a little weak in the knees seeing that. A little bit of cold sweat, maybe. Having stuck in his fingers completely into his chest, up to their base. He slowly pulled them out in exactly the same way. The fingers he pulled out were stained a sticky, solid, deep red color. There was even a thread hanging. The fingers were, all the way to their base, covered in deep red. Yo, what the fuck?
全然大した傷じゃないでしょ。
Just then, the door opened vigorously and Shannon appeared. Even after she saw Canon stained with fresh blood, her impregnable expression didn't falter. Yeah, she's figured it out, at least. What'd you get there? I mean, that's where the axe is, but... What do you mean? I mean, it's clearly at least Canon's body, but, you know, who's inside it up top is, that's more of a pertinent question. It was only natural. Everyone believed he was Canon. So they couldn't understand the meaning of Shannon's question. I mean, it looks like a cannon, it walks like a cannon, it talks like a cannon, therefore it is Canon. When they looked, they noticed Shannon was holding a handkerchief in her hand. It was filthy. It looked like she had wiped up some trash or dust. And while holding that, she approached Canon and drew close to his legs. Yeah, what are you doing? Okay?
カノン君なら平気だろうけど、もしあなたにとって雲が天敵だったなら嫌うかなって思って。
Huh?
やだな。僕がどうして雲を嫌う？
ごめん、試すの。
Yeah, where are we going with this? What did, like, bugs or flies have to do with anything? When Shannon brought that handkerchief close to Canon's thigh, something happened in an instant. It happened all at once. The human eye couldn't have followed it. Cannon jumped back like a wild goat, fleeing from the thing Shannon was holding. And his arm drew trails with some kind of afterglow that flashed purple. There were 3 beautiful trails drawn in an arc, and they were traced across the throats of Nanjo and Kumasawa, who had been tending to him. As Nanjo and Kumasawa's throats had opened like gaping mouths, and it was that very instant... What? And it was the very instant before the blood was about to start spewing out. The 3rd purple trail should have traced across Shannon's throat, but she deflected it! Parry! But Shannon wasn't there. Because Genji, who had been behind her, had wrapped his own arm around Shannon's neck and pulled her back. This had all happened in an instant. In the instant Goda tried to think fast in an attempt to understand this scene, the frozen moment in time shattered. Blood spewed forcefully from Nanjo and Kumasawa's necks, which had been torn open. Still mid-jump, Canon wall-kicked off a picture frame that had been hanging from the wall behind him, springing forward just like a cat and aiming for Shannon's throat again. Canon's target once again disappeared from in front of him, because Genji had pulled Shannon again, and the two of them had fallen onto the ground, keeping flat to the floor. That's a fairly disadvantageous position to be in a fight. Goda wasn't an idiot either. Even if he couldn't fully understand what was going on, he at least realized that this cannon wasn't seized. If this cannon wasn't seized, his own life would also be in peril. He sprung at Canon with his huge body, pushing him up against the wall with his weight and physical strength. Just lie down on top of him, throw him to the floor, and just fucking mating press his ass. The tips of the fingers on Canon's right hand began to trace out another purple trail. And when he raised that blade hand up, aiming to strike at Goda's back, there was a loud thunk. Because Canon's raised blade had been pinned to the wall. He couldn't tear his palm away from the wall. Sticking out of it was a knife that Genji had thrown. Good aim. Also, you threw that really fucking hard. Under normal circumstances, it should have been surprising to see someone as old as Genji handle a knife so skillfully. Well, they had mentioned that he, with practice motion, hid a knife up his sleeve, so, man's, he's no spring chicken. But in this abnormal space, no one paid it much mind. Genji took the handkerchief with the spiderweb stuck to it from Shannon, and he approached Canon, who's pinned to the wall by Goda's massive body and the knife. Ugh. When Genji pushed the handkerchief up against Canon's face, there was a sound like you only hear when you set meat on a red-hot iron plate. Of course, it smells the same too. Ooh, nice. Apparently burn wards actually smell pretty good because it's like barbecue. Like, unironically, that's a thing. And he was burned and inflamed, festering in a filthy red and black, and cried out as in his death throes, Ken's body burst open and scattered. Oh, butterflies, of course. Duh. I forgot. Beatrice does her magic with butterflies. Duh, spiderweb, duh. I'm stupid. You're all laughing at me. You all laughed at me about how much of an idiot I am. It's almost as though a balloon filled with gold leaf had popped. The entire servant room was completely buried under a storm of gold leaf. No, a rabble of gold butterflies. Those butterflies began to softly fade into nothingness, as though dissolving into water. No, into the air itself. And afterwards, all that was left was the three of them sitting on their behinds, stained with blood. However, not everyone was just stained with blood. Some of them were lying on the ground, vomiting blood themselves. Yeah, getting your throat cut is pretty bad. A slit so sharp that it looked like it could cut your finger if you touched it was wide open, causing large amounts of blood to keep pouring out. Because depending on how deep it is, that's, are we talking like it got both carotid arteries, or well, there's only one artery and one vein, but you know what I mean. or just like the windpipe?
5だ。怪我はないか？
Because you can fucking hold someone's trachea and keep them from, like, you know, gurgling too much blood. But, you know, if both those are cut, you know, it's pretty much game over. Unless you, like, get in there and pinch it closed. But that's a rough one.
私たちは何を見たんだ。何があったんです。私はあれを確かにこの手でこの壁に押し付
Look,
けて
man,
いた
some
のに。
wacky shit's happening. Don't think too hard
こ
about
の
it.
私が何があったのか理解できない。
Goto looked at his own hand. Bright red blood left from a scuffle with Canon definitely remained. And yet, Canon was nowhere to be seen, because he had disappeared. He had turned into gold butterflies and scattered. Goto kept screaming alone that he had no clue what was going on. Shannon sobbed in front of Nanjo's and Kumasawa's remains. Okay, they're dead. No corpse, but he's dead, yep. Died in the servant room, her throat slit by a sharp blade or something similar. Finishing touches yet to come. Died in the servant room, his throat slit by a sharp blade or something similar. But that alone isn't enough. Yep, gotta make it match the epitaph. And Genji watched over her, silent as always. Ooh, big clock. Same time, but in the parlor.
南條先生と熊沢さんが
Right after that happened. But we will get to that next time on the next episode of Umineko, which honestly I'll probably record later today, probably tonight at some point, because I've already talked about it with my work schedule coming up the next week. Normally, because, you know, I have a 4-day work week, the first and last days are only 8 hours, so usually I have time to record on those days, but considering I'm going to be working 12s those days, and I'm going to be dead tired when I come home, no shot. So probably for the next day or two, I might double up in order to, you know, give me a little buffer room in my backlog. So yeah, once again, I'd like to thank you all for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, ring the notification bell. See you all next time for the next episode of Umineko. Catch you guys all then later. Bye.